Hello, welcome back to the BCS podcast. Week 11 and 12. We missed last week. I don't know. Cozzi was scared. He didn't want to do it. That's what happened. And he's not here to defend himself right now. So guess what? He'll never know. But yeah, so we're going to quickly go through week 11 right now. Our good friend Cozzi will be coming late. He's preparing for the juggernaut that is Indiana. He is acting like it's his game of the year. Again, Ohio State can't beat real big teams, so they have to work on teams like Penn State and Indiana instead. But yeah, how was your last 2 weeks, Zach?
Not great in football. It's okay though. Still have kind of that path to 6 wins in front of us. Not a great 2 weeks. Other sports, fantastic.
Yeah.
Other sports killing it. Can't complain. The hockey team is the number 2 team in the country, which is insane to me.
I thought you were number 1.
No, we're number 2.
Who's number 1?
Denver is number 1. They're 12-0. They have not faced a team that, they're just playing unbelievable. But yeah, we're kind of looking at that point in the year where we're going to start seeing which teams are going to make bowls, which teams are not. There's a couple teams that are there's a couple teams that are very interesting. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, to be specific, are a very interesting one that we'll touch on in here in a second. But we'll start first. 2 weeks ago, Friday, November 8th, UCLA at home. I bet this. I said UCLA.
We all said this, bro. I think this might have been my lock of the week 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. But
Iowa,
yeah,
absolutely played terrible.
They started off hot. Garbers threw a pick first drive. It was 10.
There's 4 picks in a row.
And then UCLA just got lit. I mean, look, this team, they have one of the better staffs in the country. They just don't have the people yet. So if they invest and spend the money, which you have to do in college football nowadays, they could make something happen. I mean, Eric Bieniemy is out here making Ethan Garbers and these guys look good. They all suck. So the players suck, but the coaching staff is great. Obviously they got a lot of new guys. They are from LA. I don't know if you knew that, Zach. Do you know that?
Yeah, they're from LA.
We're from LA.
They're playing a lot better in the second half of the year. Their coaching is
for sure. And I think against the spread, they're probably like 8-1, something like that.
I don't know. They're just playing really good.
They're
really looked down upon.
Week, but,
they once they get a real quarterback, I think Garbers is workable, but he's not like that high level.
Oh yeah. Also in this game, do you remember the Iowa quarterback situation?
Oh yeah, so
the team, the backup got hurt, so they had the scout team linebacker.
Yeah, it was a 5th string quarterback in the game.
So think about it. Last year they had a fullback at quarterback, and this year they got a linebacker.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
gotta go buy quarterback, people.
It's just a mess.
Important position in football.
Next game, Oregon dominates Maryland, kind of just controls the game throughout. It was kind of close. It was like 21-10, but then
Maryland was getting frisky. I think Oregon, as we'll talk about after this past week, they ran another fake punt. They have zero respect for anyone in this conference, man. Oregon's feeling themselves a little too much for my liking. Unfortunately, I'm kind of pigeonholed into rooting for them. But these guys are scumbags. I mean, the way they play the game, come on.
They don't give a shit. They just want to win. They just want to win.
This is our conference. We'll do whatever it takes. And they're disrespecting everybody.
Yeah. Next game, Ohio State blows out Purdue.
I swear to God, me and you both said bet the shutout.
Yeah. Purdue had a chance to kick a 31-yard field goal, and their kicker absolutely shanked it.
Not even that, dude. I think it was the first drive of the game. They had first and goal on the 1 and missed a field goal.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, they had a rough one there.
Whatever. Ohio State won. Who cares?
Next game, Penn State white out. Penn State dominates 35-6. I didn't watch a single second of this game. All I know is Tyler Warren. Whenever he's on the field, you need to watch out because that guy is unbelievable so far this season.
They didn't throw the ball. He just did the red zone cheese that they should have done the week before. It was the easiest bet of the world. Was Penn State to actually be a competent football team after getting embarrassed by Ohio State annually. Every year they do this. If they're white out, that's not against a real opponent, they win.
Yeah. And then Rutgers beats Minnesota 26-19 to stop their losing streak.
Crazy game, man. Without what's his name? Magana guy got hurt too, or he got
he's been out a couple weeks. I don't think he's coming back.
I'm pretty sure he played last week.
Oh, he might have. I
don't know.
I didn't watch the game.
Who cares? No one really cares, Zach. Come on, we're just trying to be neutral people here. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
And then the last game of the week
wasn't. You know, it's like that.
And then the last game of the week, since we didn't play, Indiana squeaks out a win against Michigan 20-15. Blake is going to go on his annual rant about how Indiana stinks. And that they're the frauds, and that they're going to get exposed this week, and this and
what
that.
What do you think? I want to hear your take first. What do you think?
So, I mean, watching the game, okay, Indiana was in full control the first half. They had everything in front of them. They were playing unbelievable defense. Their offense was just clicking. And I don't know what Kurt Signetti said at halftime, but it must have scared every single player on the team because they looked like they had never played an offensive snap before. They went backwards, interception backwards. I don't think they had a positive drive for most of the second half.
I think I did the math the other day. I think they had they had 16 yards in the second half. But in the third quarter they had -2. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't get a first down for a while, and have positive yards. And like you said, until the fourth quarter, which they got a field goal somehow. But I mean, this game was an absolute mess. I just don't understand what happened to him in the second half. It's like
they didn't adjust. It's like he did.
It's like he told his team that let's not play offense this entire second half, and then Michigan capitalized on it. I mean, they literally they did some stupid plays as well. They did the Michigan plays to kind of throw the game away. I mean, they went for 2, and it was a terrible play call for 2.
But yeah,
I
even said, I was like, "Why are we chasing the game?" That's what I was saying. I swear to God, Zach, it was so bad. I said, "Why are we chasing points here? We might need a point later." And people were looking at me like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "No, dude. Like, our offense is this bad. Take the point. We'll probably get another field goal."
Yeah, I mean, it was a mess. I think it was 15-17, and then like Michigan scored a rushing touchdown on one of the mistakes that Indiana made. But it was just like, what is Michigan? I mean, what is Indiana even doing? Like, this is not a top 10 team, like how they would play in a game at home. If this was on the road, I could be like, okay, that makes sense.
This was the biggest game in program history. Seriously.
Yeah. And now they're just like stacking program history. They had that, and now they're playing Ohio State at the shoe. It's like they're just getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, when you get, I mean, it's like a bubble effect. I mean, eventually you would think it would pop.
So look, I'll do the rant. Okay. First of all, I'll talk my team first. First drive was great. You'd get down to the goal line, whatever it is, what it is. Bro, it's freaking 1st and goal, and then you end up kicking a field goal. It's disgusting. As soon as you kick the field goal there, I knew we were screwed. They walk down, score a touchdown. It's 17-3. There's no hope. I'm talking about firing my coach, firing both coordinators, blah, blah, blah. Wink Martindale, you gotta give him his credit. The outside of Oregon running up the score with 2 seconds left and QB sneaking, when you could have taken a knee like scumbags, he only gave up, I believe it was 6 points in the second half of the last 2 games. Something crazy, right? Against Indiana and Oregon. That's number 1 and number 5. And you look at it in the vacuum, you're like, okay, cool. The biggest thing for me is Alex Orji had 3 carries for 1 yard and a fumble. Okay. That's tough. When you bring in a quarterback, they know they're going to run, and then you go 5 wide. It's like, dude, that completely eliminates the whole point of him coming in. But whatever. That part, I've already had therapy sessions over how bad it was. Listen, we're going to change on the offense. It's fine. Wink's doing fine on the defense. We got to talk about Indiana. Brother, you're at home. This is your biggest game. You're killing us in the first half. You don't make any adjustments. You've never seen a team make adjustments before, Indiana. What are you doing? Like, their skill guys didn't impress me. They couldn't run the ball against a good defensive front. Listen, I'm going to have to say nice things about Ohio State in a minute here. Like Michigan's defense is like super light Ohio State. I mean, I would say we're better interior wise than they are and D-line wise, but their linebackers are probably better. Their corners are probably better. No, I am not hacked, but shut up. No one record this. All right. This is just for Indiana fans only. You guys got to lock in. Okay. We need you to pull off the upset. It's not going to happen. And you want my bold prediction? I don't know if we're going to think about this one, Zach. I think Michigan keeps it closer against Ohio State than Indiana. That's the take I'm going to be running with. But if you look at that Michigan second half, we just kept the ball away from them and just did the whole thing. One of the funniest tweets of all time, Go Blue Hezbollah, one of my good friends. He posted a tweet when Michigan was potentially going to go for it on 4th and goal instead of kicking a field goal. He goes, me and you both didn't want to know what the hell they would have drawn up for that play. So it's good they kicked the field goal. And I was like, God, it's hilarious. Because obviously last time we went for it on fourth down, they ran that crazy double Philly reverse, whatever, Philly special where Samaj threw it to a orgy that got decapitated by the cameraman. It was certainly something. So the offensive staff, is borderline things that are going to be canceled. So I won't say anything. But yeah, they're tough. The defensive staff is kind of upgraded, not upgraded. They've really gotten better recently, but it's still brutal. Look, we're buying a whole new team. We're buying a bunch of new coaches. Sharon is moving like a G. We'll talk about it in a bit. But I mean, again, it's crazy as it sounds. Michigan's 5-5, and this is a brutal season, but you're playing number 1, number 2, number 4. No, I think it's number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 5 in the top in the rankings, right? Obviously, the losses to Washington and Illinois aren't great, but Illinois is going to be ranked 2. So 4 of your 5 losses to ranked opponents, and you there's a realistic path to victory in all the games except Texas, where it's like Oregon, Michigan played well, the coaching sucked, and the same thing on this game. Like the offensive coaching was terrible. Like the bold strategy of passing, Warren and Tuttle more than you ever did to get with JJ this year is certainly something. I believe that's due to ulterior motives, but which we'll get to in a bit. But my goodness, that was a tough watch. And for those of you that watched that game that weren't involved, I'm sorry that game sucked. So that's pretty much all we have there. I don't even know if there's any big national games. I think this is when Georgia won. Let me pull it up.
Ole Miss beat Georgia this week.
28-10, profoundly.
Miami lost.
Yes, Miami did lose. Now, this game was crazy because I kept thinking Miami was going to be alive. Georgia Tech, see, this is the thing with this new college football era. Georgia Tech was perfect, okay? They just maximize time of possession. That's all you got to do with these high-powered offenses is keep them off the field. And that's kind of what I was trying to say with the Michigan game in the second half. We outplayed them. We had more yards, more time of possession, more everything. And if it's really hard for the other team to score when you have the ball. No kidding. Like I don't need to explain basic football to anyone here, but that's a pretty good strategy there. But BYU got bailed out at the end. LSU has completely collapsed. Kansas is the hottest team in college football right now. They were 2-6, and they beat Iowa State, and then obviously this week they beat BYU to spoil ahead. And a lot of teams are collapsing, and our good friends in Colorado are surging. But I think we can probably hop into recapping this week. Oh, yeah, Army, North Texas. I was wrong. I know Cozzi wasn't here. Maybe when he comes in, we can rejoin and circle back to that one. But that was tough. The North Texas offense had 3 points. What was the drive? Do you remember the drive that Army did? I'm going to try to pull it up here.
It was like 10. It was like 10 and a half minutes, 75 yards or 85 yards.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the exact numbers because my God, was it awesome. By the way, Bryson Daly, 2 for 4 with a pick, 15 yards and a pick. That's some orgy numbers. Good for him. Let's see here. They went on a 21-play, 94-yard, 13-minute and 54-second drive. Come on. See, that is the way that these delusional Michigan fans think that they have a chance against Ohio State. You need 2 or 3 of those drives. If you get a few of those, like 9+ minute drives, we could have something cooking here. So, all right, let me pull up the games from this past week. I can start with Friday night game. Remember it. It was the UCLA versus Washington. I don't know if you watched this game at all.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a carbon copy of the Iowa game. Where it was just 2 teams just fighting back and forth. Again, UCLA fights. I know they didn't cover the spread in this game, but they fought the whole way, tooth and nail. Do you remember what they did? There was some weird thing that was they had like a World of Warcraft or something that they were doing. I don't know. There was some weird NIL deal that doing. There's something, I don't know what it was.
Yeah, they did some like World of Warcraft and a sponsorship for the field. I don't know. It was.
But yeah, Washington sneaks out not sneaks out, but they sneak out a cover at the end. Yeah. Bowl eligible. Congrats. Not many teams can say that. Me and Zack included. So yeah. Congrats on the bowl. It is crazy when you think about how much they lost. Like I know Michigan lost significantly less. The fact that Jed Fish has 6 wins, and they're going to finish 6-6. They're not beating Oregon. I don't want to jump ahead a little bit here, but let's be serious. So good season for them. Building tough. I think they're the kind of the same situation as Michigan is. They're having their best recruiting class in like the recent era. So they're doing the same thing Michigan is doing, where it's like, hey, we got to broaden the modern guy that recruits. What a novel concept. So see how it turns out for them. We'll save Cozzi's game for now. What else was another game that went on? I think Penn State was a 3:30 game.
Yeah, Penn State blew out Purdue. Yeah, I mean the Purdue, whoever designed this end zones, should be fired. So
oh my god, did you see that catch?
Yeah, so they put the entire end zone black, and they left 1 inch of like white in between, and then they made a black line, and then they put another 1 inch, and then it was black behind. So they like filled the whole area with black. The receiver caught the ball for a touchdown, but he was like 2 yards out of the back of the end zone. He had no clue where he was at. It was just a mess.
And it was just funny. The defensive back hit him with the Paul Bunyan like staring at. It was pretty
like,
funny.
what are you doing?
But I mean, it's Penn State. You knew they were going to flex in this spot. Funnily enough, beating Purdue 49-0 low key isn't that much of a flex. But I know that we're going to be jumping around here a little bit this podcast, but they said Ryan Wilters is coaching for his job already. So will Purdue be extra fired up against you, Zack? Probably, but does that mean anything? Probably not.
But, I don't know.
1-9, 0-7 in the conference is pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah, they're struggling. But they can't get anything together. They don't even know who their quarterback is week to week. The next game we'll touch on, we'll just do Rutgers, Maryland, because this game was just like whatever. Rutgers is bowl eligible as well. Yeah, Kalimantan guy, Ethan Kalimanakis, 3 touchdown passes.
Threw over 50 times, I think, for the 3rd straight week. They're tough scenes down there. Loxley's got to go, right?
I mean, it's been too long.
It's brutal. I mean,
the mediocre has hit rock bottom.
Because I think they have. Actually, I know they have. I think they play Penn State this week or next week. There's just 2 weeks left, so it's got to be this week. So tough scene for them. Rutgers sneaks into a bowl game. For a while there, they were in the Nebraska USC territory of, oh shit, are we gonna make a bowl game?
Yeah, so, which we'll touch on right now. USC, Jaden, I don't even know how to say his name.
Miava. He was a kid from UNLV last year who was tearing up the world. So
yeah, he passes for 3 touchdowns, runs for another, scores every single touchdown. Every single point comes from him. Mm-hmm. As they beat Nebraska. I mean, I said this 2 weeks ago when we discussed this. I mean, we're getting into scary territory for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where they started off. I'm pretty sure
it's like speaker bust.
It's like 5-2 they started, and then or 5-1.
I think they were 5-1 because
they just keep tumbling and tumbling, and they did
this
exact
4-0, and then they lost to Illinois in that Friday night game. Beat some tomato can the next week, and they've lost out.
I mean, they are tumbling, and
they host Wisco this week. I think this is their chance because at Iowa in a rivalry game, I don't know, man. So next week, I was thinking about making it my lock of the week, but I was like, Nebraska make a bowl game as your lock of the week. Get serious. So we'll see. But I don't know, man. I mean, their offense looked a bit better under Dana Holgorsen, but they kind of got screwed the last play. They got totally hosed. But the thing is, in college, a personal foul on a Hail Mary is 15 yards. Who cares? If it was the NFL, totally different story. I understand why you'd be pissed because, get on the 1 yard line, sneak it in, go to overtime. But yeah, tough scene there.
I just don't know what to expect. I mean, we need to have that conversation where, like, I get it. You're now in year 2 or 3 with the whole, new situation, but you cannot go your first 2 seasons start off. I'm pretty sure they were 5-2 or 5-3 last year, and they didn't make a bowl game. They finished 5-7. I mean, you can't go 5-7, 5-7 with basically losing out your conference.
Oh,
I mean,
I forgot about Nebraska. I got a bone to pick with them. So I don't know if you've been seeing this clip going around about Matt Rule and sign stealing, Zack. Have you heard about this?
I've heard briefly. I have not watched it, though.
Now, this piece of shit cocksucker, you listen to me, buddy. Ready for this one, Zack? So he was petitioning to get extra eligibility of his player, okay? Because last year we played Nebraska in the 5th game of the season for them, right? This kid gets hurt on like the second play of the game, right? Hurts his knee.
Mm-hmm.
And his logic was, oh, I got hurt. The game's not going to count in a few years because they're going to avoid it. So why does it matter? He got hurt because they knew it was a run play. It's like, okay, interesting. Then simply tells him no. Unfortunately for him, Michigan is one of the biggest bunch of dork nerd fan bases on Twitter. And someone went back and looked at the play. The guy in question plays defense, Zack. You think the Michigan offense knew we were running the ball on our own play, you jackass? It would be one thing if the kid was on offense and you're like,
okay, that would make sense.
It was a run play. Maybe one of the most insane takes of all time. The dude is like, my defender got hurt because they knew they were running the ball. What kind of the levels of down bad you got to be where it's like you're fighting for your life as a bowl game guy? Like, it's funny that Nebraska USC game. Think about the way people were viewing those programs in the end of August or the end of September, right? I think they're both 4-0.
Yeah.
You're 5-5 now, and both your coaches should be fired. So get serious and stop. Worry about yourself. How about that? Okay. Any of these teams that get too involved in the sign stealing, it doesn't work out well for them. Did we cheat? Yes, but shut up. That was last year. I mean, because I was initially like, okay, I kind of get where he's coming from. Like, it does suck that the guy got hurt. Whatever. I always want, I hope these kids get as much money as they want. When these kids are getting paid to go on visits, and you're hearing, Underwood's getting paid like GDPs of third world countries. Good. I'm glad these kids are making their money. But dude, the guy on defense didn't know the play was on offense? Come on. Give me a break. Oh, my God. Oh. Speaking of things that make me mad, Oregon, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's crazy how good Tez Johnson is, huh? Because
Oregon
is stunk without him.
Yeah.
They announced he's back this week too, which is going to be back next week, which is important. So, this game was interesting. People were kind of thinking that there maybe was potentially a chance of upset. Because I believe Oregon they were down a touchdown during jump around, which is pretty cool. Texted one of my good friends, used to coach your sailing growing up. I was like, hey, don't count your chickens. I know you're up 7 against the number 1 team at home.
Yeah.
A lot of game left. Unfortunately, I was right. And they end up losing the game. Oregon, once again, they call a fake field goal and you don't get it. And you give the ball back to Wisconsin and they should have won. And then when they finally won and the guy turns over, they pan a Dan Lanning on the sidelines. This dude's got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. It's like, dude, you're running fake field goals because you're that much of a gimmick. You want to go score more touchdowns to like run up the score on all these teams. You barely beat Wisconsin by 3. And he knows another team last year that was ranked high and struggled playing Wisconsin on the road last year. The Ohio State Buckeyes. So Oregon, let's get serious, okay? You talk about not playing. You talk about playing for clicks. Let's take a lap here, fellas. Holy. Oh, God. Now, we'll go to your game because Cozzi will be joining us shortly.
Yeah, so... Sorry, I'm just like so distracted. I'm trying to get this done. Multiple things at once. We showed up in the first half, played pretty good football. I mean, it was 21-9. I mean, we just... No mistakes. Just defense couldn't stop anything. Josh McCray is unbelievable. He's pretty good. Can't ever tweak against that. Luke Altmaier played pretty well. The biggest issue was just that our defense didn't show up until the second half, and when they did, it was too late because our offense couldn't figure out what we were doing. We had this one touchdown to start the game. Then we kind of went slow. Couldn't really figure anything out. Kept going 3 and out. Couldn't really get a drive together. And then it was already too late because they were already up, 24 to like 16. And then it just kind of fell down from there. You could tell that they just had more depth. I mean, we were starting 5 freshmen on defense, I think, this week with so many injuries. It's just tough. I mean, that's the pains of rebuilding. But I mean, I'm not gonna. Illinois is playing pretty good football right now. I mean, there's a serious shot they are 8-4, 9-3 at the end of this year. So we'll see where it goes from here. But that's like one of those teams where you got to capitalize, and if you don't, they're just going to beat you, especially at home. And we have two very winnable games this next 2 weeks. So
yeah, it's one of the downfalls of the expanded playoff is it sucks for a team like Illinois because they'd be one of those teams making like a surprise New Year's Six bowl game, and that'd be a huge deal for them. But obviously now no one cares. But like, they really are playing tough, huh?
Yeah, I mean they've played. I mean they played Michigan tough. They played Michigan State tough. They've played some ranked teams tough. I mean,
not Oregon, but they played pretty much everybody else tough.
Yeah, I mean, and then they played pretty much everybody else tough. But yeah, I mean, props to them. They're looking pretty good, and it's tough because it's like, I mean,
shout out our boy Bielema era, man.
They just let a couple games go and they could be in the playoff. Realistically, I mean, they sneak. I mean, they figure out how to play Oregon close. I mean, if you just look at their schedule, I mean, tough loss to Penn State. I mean, and then they lose to Minnesota. I mean, if they're 10-2 right now, I mean, they could have finished 10-2.
They had to beat Minnesota. That'd been huge. Yeah. They beat them. Hey, look, seriously, they could have. They should have. They wouldn't have, obviously, but they could have gotten potential playoff discussions.
Yeah.
Here in the SEC, they'd still be alive, which we'll get to in a minute. But my goodness.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the other games that happened. My personal favorite hate watch happened. LSU complete collapse to Florida. Talk about a team that's fallen off the rails. I mean, listen, if you're like, I don't know, like a generational prospect out of Michigan or something, wanting to go play for Brian Kelly when all he's produced the last few weeks is 2 choke jobs and him getting absolutely cussed out by his players, I don't know. It couldn't be me. And I don't know. I really wouldn't feel like I'd want to go play for a guy like that, Zach. I don't know. How do you like to get coached?
I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it.
I don't know. I mean, look, Tom Izzo does it, but he gets results. I mean, what the hell does Brian Kelly do?
He used to get results. I don't know if he's going to get results where he's at, but
hey, Izzo's been to more Final Fours than Brian Kelly has.
Brian Kelly went to Final Fours and got smacked. That's what happened.
Won and lost.
Yeah, they got smoked. Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
To more games that actually matter. It was a pretty dog shit slate, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee kind of collapsed. They had some bad breaks from the refs. The refs always screw you in the SEC.
As my dad said, noted lifetime Vol fan, H-Dog. Yeah, he said, he's like, hey, normally don't score in the first half. We decided to score in the first half and then not score in the second half. Bold strategy, did not work.
Yeah.
The game was kind of fun in the first half. I mean, Tennessee was doing the things you thought they were going to do, and it seemed like it was potentially leading up to an instant classic, and then Tennessee just stopped playing.
Yeah.
Stunk. But hey, and now Georgia's back alive. Tennessee could have gotten them killed and, totally made this process a lot easier down the line. Now I think they're back to 8 teams alive in the SEC for the championship game.
Yeah. They have unlimited teams right now.
Yeah. What else happened? Texas sends off Arkansas. Another team that respects the coin. They're a good team against the spread. BYU, they ended up losing their undefeated magic run to Kansas. Kansas was 2-6. When someone had a big spreadsheet up and they said
you say that right because he's a Jewish quarterback, right? Correct. Isn't he a Jewish quarterback?
Yeah. That's what they're saying. So it's funny. We were actually talking about this. They go, look at the era of NIL, what's happened. If you look at BYU in a nutshell, they have the number 1 recruit in the country coming in next year for basketball. It's generational prospect. This year, they have a guy, his name's like Demon, and he's from Russia. He's a Russian point guard that he's like a Pistol Pete type guy. Mm-hmm. He's like this all-world guy that they go, okay, so their best player is some like Russian kid in basketball, and then in football they have a Jewish quarterback. They got Mormons wearing yarmulkes out of support in the stands. NIL is a crazy world, man. It makes everyone lose what's going on. It's very funny. But they ran out of magic. Someone did send a tiebreaker thing that Kansas is still mathematically alive. I said, would it be the funniest thing of all time if Kansas won the Big 12 or went to the playoff, being 6-6. They'd be 7-6, but it'd be very funny. They need there's like a under 1% chance of it happening. They need like every team to lose on top of them, every team below them to win. But would be very funny. What else happened? I guess we got to talk Colorado.
Colorado.
They played well.
It's
Travis
tough.
Hunter Heisman.
I'm so in between because he plays both sides, but like
his lead stat is snaps. Like, okay.
Yeah, like he's very mediocre on offense. And he has like 700, 800 receiving yards, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But he has like, I think he has like 4 or 9 touchdowns. I don't know how many touchdowns he has, but it's like, okay, he's a pretty good receiver.
They gave him a touchdown at the end of the game. They ran a little play for him at the end. It's like,
but if you look at his defensive stats, he's got like 2 pass breakups, 1 or 2 interceptions. Like,
he got a pick that was bad.
24 tackles, and it's like, okay, he plays so many snaps. I get that, but at the same time, it's like we can touch on this right now because this is Ashton Genty runs for 3 touchdowns. Like,
yeah,
he's now going to finish second to Barry Sanders in touchdowns by less. I mean, if he runs for 6, which is very possible in the next 2 games,
even better. Someone did the strength of schedule argument, and they're like, Boise actually has a tougher schedule based on record because the Big 12 is so bad and the Mountain West is not that bad. It's still bad. It's worse than Pac-12 or Big 12, but they played Oregon, and he had a great game against Oregon too. That's what I keep saying.
His worst game was like 295 yards and 0 touchdowns, and the only reason he has 0 touchdowns is because they benched him. Like, he's gonna finish about 700 to 900 yards short of Barry's rushing yard record.
It sucks because if they had him stat pad against that Portland State team, he could have put up like.
But if you look at the stats, like, he's only going to finish within 5 or 6 touchdowns probably of Barry's record for the most rushing touchdowns all time. That's unbelievable. I mean, it's going to be probably 5 or 6 more than third place if I had to guess.
And the crazy thing to me is I don't even think he has a chance. Like, I think they're going to try to do this Cam Ward thing. And this week, Cam Ward plays Wake Forest at home. If you don't think Cam's going to throw 6 touchdowns and they're going to be running and do a little Heisman game like they did with Jaden Daniels last year against Georgia State, then you're out of your mind. Other things that happened, Louisville loses to Stanford. Stanford, huge win. Crazy comeback. Another game that was nuts was Zack's old boy Narduzzi, the Nard dog. They end up losing 20-24. Crazy officiated game. End of the first half. Pittsburgh was first and goal, or it was third and goal. They had 5 straight false starts. I'm not kidding. I think it was 4. It might have been 5. I know it was at least 4. It might have been an illegal formation or something afterwards, but they had 5 pre-snap penalties and then ended up kicking like a 40-yard field goal. It was like third and goal from like the 30-yard line. It was very funny. And then they score at the end. Literally the D tackle punches the guy in the face. Like, he literally runs through like this and like uppercuts, punches him in the jaw. Head snaps back and they don't throw a flag. Then the guy's hurt on the ground. And then, I don't know if you saw this, Zach, they throw the flag after the thing. They go, after discussion, personal foul. And it was the same thing as the Texas bottle throwing stuff, but the kid was just dead on the ground.
Oh, boy.
And it was like, if this Clemson player wasn't hurt, they'd totally change it. It was the right call, so justice was served regardless, but the way they did it was ridiculous. So they score right at the end. They did another beautiful thing where they threw the ball instead of running it. Would have gotten another 30 seconds off. And then Clemson has like 20-something seconds left. They walk down the field, and Cade Klubnik ices it with a huge long touchdown run. So Clemson's still alive in the ACC. They're obviously third behind Miami and some team SMU that no one surely picked before the season. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'm still upset about that. I will not let that go. I told everybody in the world about an SMU to win the ACC. Everybody said, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. They were like 18-1. And I was like, there's not this crazy chance that they won their last conference and dominated everyone. And then they come into this other conference that isn't that good, and they dominate everyone. And what happened? They made one mistake by playing a dumb quarterback that didn't know what the hell was going on. They bench him, and what happens? They haven't lost a game since. So I don't want to
remember how crazy it was at the time. Oh, my God, you lost to BYU. You suck.
Yeah.
Wait, it's like BYU's undefeated.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
So
here's the funniest thing. Texas's resume versus SMU's resume. How are they 13 spots apart?
Yeah.
It's the logo.
Find,
it sucks. You got to blind rank.
We'll find out more information here in the next couple hours.
Yes, the polls will drop a little bit after this.
But like you look at the conferences, and it's like, so basically the ACC leader right now lost to the Big 12 leader right now, and at the time it was like the end of the world, and now it's like, holy smokes, they're ranked 13 and 14. Wow!
So right now, those teams are each getting a bye.
Basically,
yeah. And no one's saying, "Oh my God, Ohio State lost to Oregon. What a bad loss."
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they didn't lose by as much, but you know what I mean. So it's crazy. SMU's getting disrespected. I was very high on the coach. I was high on the backup quarterback. Michigan was trying to get the starter, who got benched, rightfully so.
Yeah, Kevin Jennings is for
the problem
real.
was they lost so many guys to the portal on the O-line. I thought that they were just going to get dragged in a real conference, but the ACC is not a real conference, so I don't know what I was thinking there. Other game I can really think of, Tulane murders the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
How do you do that the week of Veterans Day? Crazy to beat the Service Academy 35-0. It's the first time Navy's gotten shut out, and I think they said like 3 or 4 years. Crazy.
Yeah.
Tulane, sneaky, the best Group of 5 team, maybe.
Yeah. So like, if you look at their schedule,
they should schedule a game between Boise and Tulane, and that'd be sick. That's just me.
Yeah. So you look at it. There's a chance. Okay. You got to look at it like this. Okay. Losing to the number 1 team in the country. Okay. Less than 7 points. Okay. There's one team. All right.
They had Oregon on the ropes.
Tulane, who has played.
They lost to 2 Power 5 teams. They lost to Kansas State and Oklahoma
this year.
Yeah. They're playing good now. They're undefeated in the conference, but the 2 losses are bad. Kansas State not the best. Oklahoma State.
Here's where we're gonna really break it down, and it's gonna bite me in the ass when I talk about this now. Okay, we're gonna compare 2 teams. All right, a team that lost to the number 1 team in the country by 7 points or less, or a team that beats Notre Dame, another team that's in there. Okay, if we're comparing Army and friggin' Boise State at the end of this year, and they somehow don't and decide, oh, we're gonna take Boise State over Army, we might have a big flaw in this whole system, in my opinion. Because if you look at comparing the schedules, if that happens, not only will Army have to beat Tulane, they will have to beat Notre Dame. And if they beat 2 top 20 teams and they still take the team that has a 7-point loss at the beginning of the year over a top 5 team, a top 1 team, potentially, I don't know. I just feel like the system's
good news is I know a guy that would defend Army to death.
Yeah, he's probably here. There he is.
I'm biased, so not going to get into this conversation because I think that Army deserves a shot if they win this week and if they go undefeated.
Yeah, because they'll have
it's pretty no-brainer here. Like, you're going to have a win over Notre Dame, and I'm just going to throw the hypothetical out there. Texas A&M wins the SEC. So by default, that Notre Dame win for Army gets even better.
Yeah, the crazy thing to me is I don't even know if Notre Dame loses to Army. I don't think they should be in the playoff.
I think Notre Dame should be eliminated if they lose Army, to be honest with you.
That would be losing. Is it technically a home game or is it an away game for Notre Dame?
It's technically a home game because it's part of the Shamrock series for Notre Dame, and they're playing
NC
State.
And you lose 2 home games where you were a 20-point favorite, basically, in both games. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I understand the expanded playoff is fun. It makes these games a lot more fun. I might have to be honest when I say that. A team that loses to a MAC school at home should not be in the playoff. I'm sorry. I hate that.
Okay,
people forget they lost to Northern Illinois. Give me a break.
So here's the thing that is going to propel Notre Dame, though. Like, if they go out there and they win this game and they cover, then they're going to be hosting a home playoff game. Like, it's almost like guaranteed in my mind.
Ridiculous. I hate that.
Which is wild. But if Notre Dame were to lose this game, like, you go down and you look at their schedule, and if I'm the committee, look, I know Notre Dame. I know it's all about money. I know Army's a Group of 5 team, et cetera, and I know that you want to make as much money as possible. But how can you stare someone like Army who would go 12-0, or they would go 12-0 because they'd only have 11 regular season games, and then they'd have the conference championship. So let's say they go 12-0. They beat Notre Dame. Can you honestly stare Army in the face and say, well, you beat Notre Dame, who has 2 losses, but we're still going to put them in the playoffs because they're going to create more revenue and money than you guys would.
Let's go fully down the wormhole here.
Which I disagree with because the country would get behind Army and go wild whoever they play.
Well, half the country,
let's
half the
go
country.
fully down the wormhole. Let's put the full tinfoil hat on.
Okay?
What if Army wins against Notre Dame,
Yes.
loses to Tulane in the championship game? Would you take Tulane with 2 losses over Boise State with 1 loss?
No, because I think Boise State's 1 loss is still going to be better than Tulane's 2 losses.
That's the thing. So,
Yeah.
And you almost could argue that Boise's being 11-1 is better than 12-0 Army. I disagree, but it's definitely up for discussion.
I mean, you're still going to have okay, I get you play the game at Oregon, but once again, Army is going to have a lot.
Probably would have done the same thing that Boise did to Oregon that early in the season with how bad Oregon's run defense was.
Correct. And here's the other thing. You got to remember, so Army is going to also get to play when all is said and done. They're going to get to play Tulane for the AAC. And
that's a big game. Tulane's playing hot right now.
And here's the thing. That's also going to be another ranked opponent that they're going to play because Tulane is ranked.
Yep.
So it's like you're going to have 2 games against ranked opponents. And if you win both of those, I think it cancels out. Look, Kansas State and Oklahoma, they're not the greatest teams. Kansas State's a little better than Oklahoma. But also, Tulane's the next in line after Army and after Boise State. Let's be honest with that. I mean, there's no one else left. It's down to those 3 teams. Unless, and I'm going to say this, hypothetically, so Boise's going to play Colorado State. And if Colorado State beats Boise, my thing is they have 3 losses, but technically, if Colorado State beats Boise, do they jump Tulane? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say Army gets blown away.
No.
Blown away.
The America, it would be undefeated Army. If Army loses this week, it's Boise's bid to lose.
Okay, so then who goes if Army were to win the American with 1 loss and that loss being to Notre Dame? Or
Boise easily. There's no discussion.
But let's say they lose to Colorado State.
Oh, then yeah, Army's in. Yeah.
I mean,
that's easy.
There's back doors to this whole thing. So, but anyways,
I think the crazy scenario would be if Army wins out, loses to Tulane, and Boise wins out. Then it's like, okay, we can rationalize some things.
Yes, and I think, look, here's the thing: how high we're going to really find out, how serious they are about Army. If Army were to win on Saturday night, which I think they're going to win, and unfortunately, I'm picking upset Saturday in the afternoon. I think you're going to see pandemonium, craziness. Auburn beats Texas A&M. I don't know if you guys have discussed that.
We haven't predicted yet, but we're getting there in a minute.
We're still waiting on you to talk about your game against them.
Perfect.
That's where we're at.
Here we go. Last 2 weeks, washes, does not matter. Purdue, Northwestern, just terrible. The sluggish starts worry me a lot. Even against Purdue, it was kind of sluggish starts. But we handled business. Purdue, obviously, the shutout only was a shutout because their field goal kicker missed the 21-yarder, which I think anyone here could have probably possibly made that kick. Oh, man. I mean, they had us. They were like, oh, man, we're going to score some points. And then boom. And then they never crossed midfield after that. Northwestern, first 2 drives of the game. Once again, it's almost like Jim Knowles plays like a feel-out kind of game early on, and he doesn't show anything until the 3rd drive. I've noticed this as we've gone on, and I don't know if it's a sluggish start. I don't know what it is. Even the offense doesn't look like they're scripted plays. It's almost like our coaching staff is better without scripted plays. Now we got Indiana. Look, Indiana is Indiana. what should I say? Indiana is not the Indiana of normal. I'm fucking excited. It's a noon kickoff again, which everyone's up in arms about. And I will say this, in the long run, it's going to be talked about like Fox has got to back off from doing every Ohio State game at noon, every single Big Ten game that is in the Eastern time zone or even in the Central time zone as big noon kickoff, because we have a recruit that we're in a recruiting battle with Oregon for a quarterback that's in Nashville. He unfortunately can't make it work because he has a Friday night high school football game and will not be at the shoe for Indiana. But last week he was at Oregon for Maryland. Look, I agree. Official visits are not like the biggest deal because he's not sitting down with our coaching staff. He's not going to like be able to be around the coaching staff mostly. It's going to be someone guiding him through the official visit. I get it. But at the same time, I would love to see our recruits be there to see a game atmosphere for a top 5 matchup that is going to be, I know what you're saying. And look, you think you think we're going to blow them out of the water, don't you?
I said earlier when you weren't here, Michigan's going to keep it closer than Indiana.
I will 1,000%.
Not only did their coach get the Mel Tucker contract, they're going to play like it's going to be 49-0 at halftime.
And when did Mel Tucker get that contract?
The week before Michigan gave Michigan State signs to Ohio State.
Actually, so he got that contract the week before Ohio State, or before he came to Ohio Stadium. And now Signetti is coming to Ohio Stadium with a brand new contract, and we're going to whip that ass. We're going to beat that ass. It is going to be a shit pumping.
BYU dropped 8.
I don't know if I can even say that. You might have to edit this out, but it's fine. Fucking belt to motherfucking ass this Saturday, and I'm fired up, and it's going to be loud as hell in there, and everybody's going to be fucking going nuts, wild, screaming their head off, because guess what? All of us are pissed off at Big Noon, and we're going to show Big Noon that we're going to be able to bring it in a fucking big game at noon kickoff, because everyone wants to say, oh, man, we can't get that loud. We can't. Okay, Indiana, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I can't wait. They're talking all this shit. They think they're hot shit, all this stuff. Signetti said that he was going to take it to us and Michigan and Purdue. And look, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to take it to Michigan. Michigan had their shot. They had their chances to win that game plenty of times. And it just is not Michigan's season. They're not great at quarterback. If they had a quarterback, they win that game probably by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Look, I'm sorry, Blake, but
no, I'll inside baseball here. I'm live reacting to these results.
Oh.
They did it again. They put SMU 1 spot above BYU, despite BYU beating SMU. You have Army, I think, at 19 and Tulane at 20. So
okay, so
Missouri is still ranked. That's pretty funny.
I'm also going to say this. It's a joke that SMU is right now in the lead in the ACC, and they can't give them the bye because they still want to put Miami up there. That is an absolute fucking joke.
Yep.
Now,
but I think that was a pretty accurate description of your game. I don't know if Zack remembers when I said this about 30 minutes ago. I was like, it's very sad to see that Ohio State has to hype themselves up to beat another fake top 10 team, let alone top 5 team. It is what it is. It's funny because Indiana's going to lose and they'll drop out of the top 15. So it is what it is.
I will say that is the one downfall that I see here of us really, I think, imposing our will.
And if you somehow lose, you're eliminated from the playoff. That's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You should be. You won't. You'll still make it in because you're Ohio State.
Yeah,
because everyone keeps saying that. And Danny Cannell, as dumb as he is, had a pretty good thing when he said earlier. He's like, "Yeah, everyone's saying if Indiana loses, what if Ohio State loses? What happens?" Like,
yeah, but here's the thing. I will say this: our conference is so bad that today they finally came out and said Oregon clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How? In what world did you not do the breakdown on
we have so many fucking
Saturday?
There's 16, 18 teams.
Look, okay. I'm just going to say this. Everyone in the nation figured out on Saturday that Oregon, with a win against Wisconsin, clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship. Every single person figured that out.
Oh, no longer a top 5 matchup. They got Indiana at 6. Just kidding.
Oh,
just kidding. Made you look.
No.
Indiana
like I care.
5. Yeah,
here's the thing. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think that this is going to be like a 49-21 kind of game. I think we put together some. Here's the thing: we run the ball now, so like a blowout to us is anything above 21 points. That's a blowout. We do not. If we start throwing downfield and he starts connecting, and I'm not saying like 20-yard passes, 30-yard passes. I'm saying 10 to 15 because Mbuka and Jeremiah Smith are going to break tackles. Look, Maryland threw all over this fucking team. They went up and down the field. Plenty of teams have thrown on Indiana. It's just
throw in Indiana.
Exactly. So that's why I'm not really worried. If we throw the ball downfield 5, 10, 15 yards, throw the ball downfield, this team's going to be fine. The O-line has finally gelled together to where we're looking pretty damn good. And we impose our will on teams late in games, though. I have noticed that. Second half, no one can stop our run. Nobody.
Except Oregon.
I mean, even Oregon really – I mean, they did, but it wasn't that
You had 18 rushing yards on 10 attempts.
In the second half?
Yes. Your longest run was the infamous slide with no time
But
left.
here's the thing, and I'm just going to say it. Possibly, maybe, an injury actually helped us out. I know that sounds weird, but
like with us was Zach Zinner.
But
he got better when he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to speak ill of a current Browns player though, so let's just not.
He got way better when he got hurt because Barnhart sucked, is unemployed currently, and we brought in Trente Jones, who's a Twitter troll.
Anyways, I think the line got better because I liked Hinsman, and I think Hinsman was a good blocker in general. It's just he made some comments. They brought in McLaughlin, and McLaughlin was experienced, and that's why he started at center. I said from the beginning I thought Hinsman should probably start at right guard. Now he's at left guard, and now we've gelled together, and I think we're fine.
Do you see this glitch they have right now on the screen, Zach? They have Boise State as the first round bye.
No, that's right. That's right.
I have actually seen. Yes, you can. If a group of 5 team is above,
well, there you go.
Power 5 team, they get the bye.
Yeah, because that goes Big Ten.
That'd be hilarious. So Ohio State right now would be hosting BYU in the first round.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is like a legit possibility because right now also.
Yeah. Because if you look at this, okay.
Don't look now.
These matchups. Look how fun these matchups are, bro. Right now it would be Notre Dame hosting Ole Miss. Oh no, hosting Alabama. I don't know how they did that. Whatever. It'd be Georgia traveling to Penn State.
Ooh.
And Indiana hosting Lane Kiffin. Oh my God!
So is Bama out?
No, Bama would be traveling to Notre Dame.
No, they're the 9th seed.
So Lane Kiffin is going to
because the fact that they have they have Boise ranked high is on this fake nonsense.
So Tennessee got dropped out.
Tennessee's their first team out.
Okay,
which is dumb, but whatever.
Anyways, other than that, I don't really have much more on my game. I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a second half, just hopefully a motherfucking dance for the whole second half, and everyone can enjoy themselves. So,
whatever. Games can be boring. All right, Zach. What about your game?
We play football on Friday.
Coach Walter is coaching for his job.
I don't think so. They said that they're going to fire the rest. No, they said they're going to fire the rest of the staff.
Well, they tweeted they said he's coaching for his job.
Yeah, they didn't say that.
I will pull up the quote.
Yeah, I don't know. We're probably going to play football. We're going to play a team from Indiana, the worst of the 2 teams. Yeah, we lose and I might cry. We win and we're back into the full picture of potentially playing in a bowl game, which, hey, if we're playing in Detroit, man, it can't get much better than that. Get to just stay home and play in Detroit. Michigan versus Michigan State in Detroit. Book it now. I don't care.
No, they have you playing the Buffalo Bulls.
I don't know. I saw Eastern Michigan and it would be like 25-point dog. They would be like a 25-point dog, and I was like, "Oh, that's great." Shout out to the Maction. I should have went to the game tonight. Central's playing Western right now. The game starts in 10 minutes. But yeah, we play football on Friday night. I think we're like 15-point favorites, 14-point favorites, and yeah, should be interesting. And if we look at the rest of the slate, We didn't even talk about anything. Cozzi just came in and started talking about his game. So we'll go through real quick. Illinois Rutgers.
Making about himself. Oh, God.
Wow. I mean, what can I say? We're the best team in the Big Ten.
That is factually incorrect.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have that debate in a few weeks.
You're literally third right now in the Big Ten. Yes, correct. What's the noon game? Illinois Rutgers. What a peacock game.
Yeah, both teams bowl eligible. We move on. And then Iowa, Maryland. What another game.
Man. Whoa. I think Illinois takes care of business here.
Yeah, I think Illinois actually does take care of business. So,
Maryland, Iowa, another noon game, 3:30.
Give me Iowa.
Iowa's going to win. Maryland's going to cover, and I don't know how they're going to do it. But
so real quick, I don't know if people are looking at this, but you can get into this Iowa Maryland game for a total of $6.
I will not be making fun of ticket prices this week.
Why? Why?
Because Michigan, Nebraska is $24.
No. Northwestern Michigan is $24.
Yeah.
Correct. Penn State, Minnesota. I have a lock in the week in this game.
We know who it is.
Let's hear it.
I did spoil it. I like Minnesota at home here. This just seems like a crazy trap game, which I know it makes no sense for Penn State, but they haven't really been playing well this year. I don't care what people say. You won 49-10 where you scored late against Purdue, giving up 10 points to Purdue. Like, get serious. So Minnesota can run the ball. They go on these long drives. They keep the ball out of their hands. I don't think they're going to win. I think they're going to comfortably cover, though. So probably under a 10-point win. But, yeah, I would not be surprised if this is somehow an upset game because Fleck's coaching out his damn mind right now. It sucks they dropped the game a few weeks back because they could have been finishing 9-3, which would have been awesome. But, yeah.
I think it's close. I think it's definitely within 10. I think it's like a 21-17 kind of game. I'm just not impressed by Penn State. And here's the other thing. Don't look now, but it's going to be cold. And it could snow / rain. So that doesn't bode well for Penn State, who really kind of can't stop the run and doesn't really run the ball well right now, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Now, this to me is the actual game of the week. Wisconsin, Nebraska. Who's bowling?
Give me Wisconsin.
Wow.
Just because Raiola opened his mouth.
God,
that's the only reason. There's no other reason that I can put my head around this. This game is a coin flip. It could go either way. And I actually think Wisconsin, they played well against Oregon to the point where they probably should have won the game. But give it a coin flip, and I'm taking Wisconsin, though. I think that might be my upset pick of the week. Well, I mean, I have a lot of upsets late. Hey, you know what? This buys into it. 3:30 upset. Wisconsin. Give me Wisconsin.
I was saying this earlier to Zach. I go, am I really going to take Nebraska in a must-win for a bowl game? This is sneaky one of the bigger games we've had in a long time. And I know it says $20 to get in there. I mean, it will be sold out because somehow it's always sold out. Same with Michigan.
It is.
Somehow it's always sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I got to take Nebraska here. This is their only chance because if they lose they got Iowa next week.
Yeah, and just remember it's at Iowa this year. So
exactly.
And Iowa is a different team at home than they are on the road. So
rivalry game too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And those fans take that, and Iowa fans actually take that serious because they're kind of like looked down upon by Nebraska fans, even though the programs have not been really close. If you look over the past decade.
Oh, but, sure.
I mean, what a start for Nebraska, and then what an absolute collapse. I mean, they had Ohio State on the ropes, couldn't close the deal.
Mm-hmm.
They had a chance against UCLA. They had a chance against USC. I mean, they picked six to start the game, and it looked like they were going to roll. Yeah, I mean, this is your shot if you want to go bowling. I mean, Wisconsin, they're kind of in the same boat because I don't think Wisconsin is going to go. I don't think Wisconsin's hosting Minnesota to win. I just don't see that happen. So,
especially if Wisconsin off a letdown too, almost beating the number one team. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
USC, UCLA, 10:30 nightcap, NBC. Talk about another who's going to go bowling game.
Look, I mean, well, here's the thing though. You still got UCLA who they have a game
Fresno. Crazy game in the season.
I don't. I mean, it's a weird. I don't understand why, but whatever reason, I think Fresno plays them tough. I think UCLA kind of obviously needs to win here.
UCLA wins out. My second lock of the week was going to be UCLA money line, but this team is tough. We talked about it before you got on here. This team they just play close.
They do, and it's at the Rose Bowl. Give me UCLA. Give me the team from LA.
Yes,
it's in California.
Absolutely. And then my game. The George Jewett Memorial Trophy game. Another big rivalry. So it is what it is. For those that don't know, George Jewett was the first African-American player to play college football in 1896, I think. He was on Michigan and then transferred to Northwestern. So what a nerd, huh? Two very smart schools, I'm sure, back then as well. But I didn't even know you could transfer back then, which is crazy. The transfer portal has been around for 100 and something years now. But yeah, it's officially a rivalry game now. It's very funny to look at this game on ESPN and see the leading passer is the quarterback from Northwestern with 1,000 yards. Very funny. Michigan, I think, open as a 14 or 15 point favorite, and now it's down to 11. We're recruiting. This game's fun. It is what it is. I'm very excited to see how it turns out and if we actually make a bowl game, because we're rumored to be in the Music City Bowl, which would be very fun. Would love to go to have a great time in Nashville with the game I don't care about, watching a bunch of players that won't play for my team next year play. Hey, it is what it is. But senior day, get to thank a lot of the juniors that are going to be leaving as juniors on senior day, that are all going to be going pro. But end of an era. And we got a big few weeks coming up here with Sharon. Do you want to be Clemson or do you want to be an SEC team? We'll find out soon.
I'd win this week if you want to become bowl eligible. Just saying.
Oh, I couldn't care less about our game. Who cares? We're going to be playing this game tough, and then half our team is going to be redshirting for your game because they can't play. So
sure you don't.
Nothing. There's nothing that matters. You guys can't beat a team, a Michigan team that's finished in the top 5. That is a literal stat. A Michigan team that has finished in the top 5 has never lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, that's because we used to knock you guys out of the top 5.
Is what it is. But yeah, Michigan's going to win. I don't really care. So, yeah, all right. Guess just me picking that game. Going to top 25. Any other big games? It's sort of weird slate.
I have my lock of the week in the top 25.
We have a few bye games left over for Rico Bosco's list, which is teams that have lost to a game, a Power 5 opponent playing a non-Power 5 opponent or a Group of 5 team, basically. The next week, they almost always cover the spread. The list game this week is the Tennessee Volunteers hosting the University of Texas El Paso Miners. Line is 42, so we'll see. It would be very Tennessee to lose to Georgia, then win like 59-0.
There's an interesting game out there in the Big 12. There's actually 2 interesting games in the Big 12. I don't know if Vegas knows something, but Kansas is once again favored against Colorado. Kansas. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Kansas is a 2.5 point underdog against Colorado, which is interesting because You look on paper, record-wise, should be a blowout.
Kansas is the hottest team in the country. They beat Iowa State last week, 2 weeks ago, and BYU last week.
Correct. There's another game that very interesting in the desert in Tempe. It's for a place in the Big 12 title game, essentially.
Game day here, or I know
It
Josh
is in-
Pate is here.
It is in Columbus.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes, game day is in Columbus.
Josh Pate, though, another Saturday is out there. So,
But BYU and Arizona State, very interesting game. Look, I'm disappointed BYU lost. Arizona State's now favored to beat BYU. I thought BYU was one of the more solid teams. I thought that they were like that team of kind of destiny that was pulling out these wins that were crazy and nuts and wild.
The Big 12 Magic team every year.
Yes, correct. And you know what? Here's the thing. Arizona State wins this game, and they turn into the Big 12 Magic team, I think.
Projected to finish last in the conference with the worst coach in the conference. Shout out Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham, who I think is like 32.
Correct. Yes, he's very young. And you know what? Here's the thing. They really have just kind of handled business their kind of way. I mean, they went into Kansas State, and they dominated Kansas State. Like 24-14, that's a lot closer than the
As
score.
a 10-point dog.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They were up 21-0 running away with this game.
Yeah. They obviously they got a good running back in Scabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabadabad
could get kind of crazy here
I
because
knew that was. I knew something was
oh
coming.
my gosh.
Sam Levitt of Michigan State, for those that are asking.
Here's the one thing that I don't know how this would work out. But how does the tiebreaker between BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State all shake out? If they all
Colorado's winning out.
We'd have to look at all of it. It's a whole mess.
Yeah, I have no idea how it would shake out, but look, Iowa State, they blew their opportunity. Also, shout out to the Cyclones, though, and actually the Bearcats. Awesome uniforms this past week. That uniform combination was sick. The all whites on UC, I don't give UC a lot of credit for anything, but those were some sick unis. Look, it's going to be a close race to the end in the Big 12. Same thing with the ACC. Iowa State has to go to Utah. Look, Utah is so depleted. Cam Rising once again not playing for Utah. So it's going to be crazy.
Very bad football team.
But let's see what BYU does this week, because BYU has Arizona State and then a pretty bad Houston team at home to possibly play Colorado for the Big 12. Also, one note from that top 25 game, one top 25 team, Arrowhead is actually hosting Colorado, Kansas, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, they've played 3 games there this year.
Yeah, well, their stadium's getting renovated, so
they played UNLV there, I think.
Yes, and it's actually not the cheapest ticket of the week to get into. Once again, Iowa, Maryland, congratulations on your $6.
Yeah, shout out BYU, Arizona State, $260.
Yeah, it's time to do it. Lock of the week, the over in this game, Arizona State, BYU. Yeah, they have to score points, and whoever scores more points is gonna probably lock in a spot to the championship. I gotta go
that a lot.
I have to take it. I think this is a game where they're gonna put it all on the line, and BYU can't keep tumbling, or they're gonna just absolutely collapse. And let's see if they can recover this week.
My lock of the week comes from another SEC, or comes from a top 25 SEC team who lost last week. But it's Missouri. They are a 7.5 point favorite at Mississippi State. I'm sorry, but if they don't cover this 7.5, I will be shocked and actually saddened by it.
Missouri is still ranked in the college football playoff.
Well, they do have 3 losses, and they're 3 quality losses, man. Texas A&M, Alabama, and South Carolina.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is. But few crazy lines out there, like Auburn's a 2-point underdog hosting A&M.
That's a 6:30 kickoff in Auburn, or 7:30 kickoff, 6:30 Auburn time. Could get real interesting. Like I said, my upsets, I got Oklahoma, I got Auburn, and I got the Cadets taking down Notre Dame. All those games are at 7:30. Well, Army Notre Dame at 7. So
only other thing I wanted to note was I'm very sad that they fired Don Brown. I was very much looking forward to Don Brown blitzing 8 against Carson Beck every single play. I would have played UMass 42.5 if they still had Don Brown, but they do not. So that's very sad.
yeah, I mean,
a lot of Michigan coaches got fired this week. Biff Poggi as well. R.I.P. Biff. He showed up today at the practice facility. You know how bad you got to be to be fired when you're not getting paid. That's crazy. But yeah, Charlotte and Florida Atlantic play this week. Both teams fired their coach this week.
And it would have been the Michigan versus Ohio State former coaches.
Goodness gracious. So. I mean, I'm trying to think. Would you play the over or under in that game? Tickets are $5 to Boca Raton. They need to bring AJ and Big Justice back and bring the boom. That's the only thing that's the only juice this program had all year. Oh, well, they almost beat Michigan State. That was fun too. But other than that, they need to bring the boom. I mean, what the hell?
I mean, I guess that they really weren't the coffee bean at UMass like they said they were.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Oh my God. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think any other games I'm looking through here.
Nope.
I don't really see much.
I mean, one quick note: Florida play at noon in the Swamp. It's kind of interesting. I mean, Florida looked actually like a pretty decent football team last week against LSU.
I know we don't really talk recruiting on this podcast, but these two teams recruiting right now, my God.
Yep.
Ole Miss is going mental. They flipped 3 5-stars this week.
And Florida
doing the same.
Florida's flipping everybody from Florida State.
Yes. Florida is literally taking over Florida State's recruits, and it's just like boom, 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 which
Florida State is 1-9.
Well, it also says to me that Florida State Norvell has one more year.
I don't know if they have the money to even fire him. It's crazy. Speaking of not having the money to fire him, LSU hosts Vanderbilt. Do not let Diego Pavia walk into the Swamp at night. LSU is a program on the ropes. They'll be further on the ropes after this weekend. Listen, dude, this team, man, I've had some very fun hate watches the last few weeks. It feels real good watching that team crash and burn. And they're wearing those yellow uniforms. Did you see those things?
Yes. Why did they choose to go yellow? And look.
Someone tweeted one of the top Go Tigers accounts was like, "This is definitely not a cry for help."
I mean, what was the better unit? Who wore it better kind of thing? Joe Burrow's Sunday night outfit for Sunday Night Football or LSU's yellow this week?
Hey, you're right. Shout out Joe. What's it called? Our good friends Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter once again beating an Ohio team in November. It happens every year. I mean, it is what it is. So.
It didn't happen for 5 straight years to start.
And listen, that was before we got serious. So, hey.
That was before you guys started cheating.
That was when we had Don Brown. Oh, you're right. You mean the best defensive coordinator in the NFL? That was why. And then Connor Stallions coaches Belleville for one game and they lose?
Yeah.
Well. By the way, shout out Catholic Central, the boys.
He finished his season 1-10 coaching. Great work.
Yeah, we had boots on the ground with the Michigan State chief propaganda that said he believes the Underwood is worth $20 million. So we'll see how that turns out. So I believe the direct quote was, "This guy is Cam Newton with Matthew Stafford's arm," which is certainly something. So we'll see. I wonder where he ends up.
I do want to ask, if LSU were to end up 6-6, do they actually buy out Brian Kelly? That's my last question of the pod.
I don't know if they have enough money to buy out Brian Kelly.
Okay.
I don't know. And it's weird, man. A lot of things have been happening down there. I mean, you had their offensive coordinator, potentially going to ECU. Now he might get fired. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff's happening in LSU. What is going on in LSU? But yeah, we'll see.
How long do we have?
Dude, it's crazy. But it is what it is. I mean, LSU's biggest win this week was Paul Skeens getting Rookie of the Year. So I don't know what to tell you. But we're really getting down to the brass tacks here. Another thing I was kind of thinking about, we need.
You've been driving through Canada way too much. You said about.
Yeah, I know. We need someone that has a sick mind to pick bowl games, because I've been thinking of some really good bowl games. like Oklahoma against USC, Michigan against LSU would be a very fun bowl game with everything that's going on right now. I mean, I was trying to think like, I mean, it'd be funny if Michigan and if you had a Ohio State or
You're probably in line with a Outback Bowl or Citrus Bowl right now.
I think that's Illinois. That's why we're Music City. We'll be 6-6. So I mean, but
Yeah, LSU could be Music City too, or it could be Vandy, or it could be Vandy.
I don't know if I want to play Vandy
in Nashville. Nashville.
It'd still be a Michigan home game, but yeah.
I think that's everything for tonight.
Yeah, Zach's got to go, so we'll go. He's got to go.
I got to go.
He's got to go
watch
the Stanford Bulldogs or whatever they're
called. I got
called.
to go watch a team shoot 700 threes on my team.
It is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got this week.
Yeah, apparently this team they've played 5 games. They've shot 52 threes.
Yeah,
they made 52 threes, and we've made 16 through 4.
Yeah, they were 12. They're the analytic team where it's their shot chart is green circles underneath the basket,
it's like us.
Green circles at the free throw line, and then just spraying. So they're an analytic team. So it is what it is, and we'll see if the Cavs can make history tonight.
We'll see.
What happened?
The Cavs are undefeated, and I think they're going for history tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, is it history tonight?
Yes.
Like the most wins in a row?
I think it's the start of season at 16.
Well, hopefully they do.
Hopefully Michigan State has a better defense than Zach's immune system. And but yeah, other than that, we will see you guys later.
Yeah.
Peace out, go Bucks.